Hello and welcome to the Today's Money Masters. I'm Jean-Paul Manu. The Today's Money Masters competition comprises 3 professional investors and a novice, each provided with $500,000 to invest. The participants will invest in stocks, bonds, and collective investment schemes. They'll share their strategies over a 1-year period, at the end of which the top portfolio manager will be declared. Let's continue with the masters on this very exciting journey. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever been interested in an IPO but didn't have the time to go in branch and submit all the documents? We've got a solution for that. With NCB Capital Markets Go IPO portal, you can submit and track your IPO application from any of your favorite devices. No need to go in branch. No need to contact a wealth advisor. No extra fees. And it's accessible to both NCB and non-NCB clients for all our offers. So no excuses. Investing is easier with Go IPO. Visit www.goipo.jncb.com or text GoIPO to 876-383-1729 and start investing today.
On today's program, we are joined by, to my immediate left, Timar Jackson, one of our professionals. He's from NCB Capital Markets Limited, and Richard Longmore, our novice from the Jamaica Racing Commission. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Timar, let's start with you. Richard has 5% of his portfolio in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Now, why have you stayed away from this stock?
Well, let me start by saying, JP, that I don't believe that JSE is a terrible stock. In fact, with all the new listings that we've seen come to market this year, and with all the heavy trading that we've seen on the stock exchange, the company has done very well. So far this year, the company has grown its bottom line more than 28%, and that is significant. In fact, if I were to take my entire $500,000 that the competition gave me and invest in JSE as at the beginning of this calendar year, I would be my fortunes would be somewhere in the region of about $1.2 million.
Okay.
Right, more than double. So you can understand what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I'm, however, feeling a little bit on the fence about JSE, and that's simply because, based on my calculations, the stock is currently fairly priced, right? So in order for me to expect any significant movement in the price upwards, that is, the company would pretty much have to grow the bottom line significantly more than that 28% we've seen so far this year. So it's a look and see for me.
Now, when you say it's fairly priced,
right,
what exactly does that mean?
Pretty much what I'm saying is that where the market value is currently, my calculation of what the fair price is are pretty much in line with each other.
Okay.
So there is not much upside in terms of room to grow.
You don't see much movement potential.
Right, right, at the moment.
Okay.
That could happen, however, if it is that the bottom line grows significantly, more than that 28 we've seen so far.
The chances you think are slim for that? Not sure.
Look and see. Let's see.
All right. We'll wait and see on that one. Richard, why have you invested 5% in Jamaica Stock Exchange?
Well, clearly, as my colleague has said, the stock has a lot of favorable things going on for it. I looked at the last 4 or 5 years, and we saw where not only was it the leading stock market worldwide, but it gave record returns where whatever amount of monies you had invested, it's highly likely that your monies would have doubled, and in some cases tripled. So past performances over the last 4 years, looked at it and take us to 2019. Where are we now? What has changed over the last 4 years in terms of the macroeconomic policies and the framework in which we're operating? It has actually improved. Then the business environment, investor confidence has improved. So what has happened over the last 4 years, in my mind, 2019 is even more favorable. So I am jumping onto the bandwagon of the Jamaica stock market because not only do I think that they're going to do extremely well for this year 2019, but they're going to again set some record performance.
Okay.
Just quickly let me just quote what just happened in the June 30th quarter, their reports where we saw where the pre-tax profit was $121 million. That's up 35% over last year period. Where for last year we were doing record performances worldwide.
Okay.
So we're seeing where the trajectory is looking good. Timar made mention about the bottom line, but I have confidence in the bottom line because again, looking back at the June 30th figures, I think that we're seeing a total income of 429 million, which again is coming from 216 for the last period. So I have strong confidence in it. I only did 5% because I'm going with diversification. So we'll just wait and see how it plays out.
Okay, so you're a little bit more bullish.
Yes,
on the
definitely,
JSE.
definitely.
Good. Richard, Timar has invested 25% of his stock, of his portfolio, in the Caribbean Cement Company. Now, why have you stayed away from that stock?
Well, Caribbean Cement Company is a unique stock option where it's one of the stocks that I really liked and was looking at because one of the things that I do, I looked at the business environment from a macro policy level, wherein I saw where the tourism sector, mining sector, and the construction sector was the main drivers for Jamaica economic growth. And from you mentioned construction, the first thing that comes to my mind is Caribbean Cement Company.
Right.
So it's one of the stocks that I liked, and it's just a matter of choices. It was last minute where upon doing further research, I got cautious as it relates to two factors. And the two factors that I use as my cautionary steps was one, they recently changed their leadership, where the general manager who grew the company for the last 13 years, he resigned some 2-3 months ago.
Okay.
So from a corporate level, I want to wait and see. I love this stock, but I want to wait and see. And the other aspect as it relates to the finances, where when you drill down into their financial statements, I'm seeing where some finance costs have increased and certain expenses have increased some 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've really done your homework on your on investigating
Well,
the
it's early days. Again, I love this stock, so who knows? While I may be saying this now, depending on what happens,
Sure.
I'll maybe jump in on Caribbean Cement.
Sure.
But
So
right
keep
now,
an
I
eye-
don't think it's a time for me.
Keep an eye on it. Timar, any comments?
Well, Richard made some valid points. First of all, I'll speak about the positive and then I'll speak to the concerns that he has. Certainly, we've seen where construction and key infrastructure projects have sort of wound down. Hagley Park and Constant Spring are pretty much at completion. But we're seeing where the South Coast Highway, they're now picking up that leg from Harborview to St. Thomas.
Right.
We're expecting construction activity to begin on that as soon as by the end of September.
Okay.
Right. We're also seeing where the NHT has a very robust inventory of work in progress.
National Housing Trust, right?
Right. National Housing Trust. Right. They have a robust inventory of work in progress residential properties that they're developing. So that should really trigger a lot of demand for cement going forward. So on the demand side, I think the Caribbean Cement Company is pretty much safe. As to Richard's concerns, first being the management change.
Right.
Businesses change management quite often, right? One of the key concerns that you should really watch out for is whether or not there is proper continuity in place, right? I am feeling comfortable with the new management that's coming in because the new guy pretty much is coming from within the CMEX group, which is the parent company for Caribbean Cement.
Sure.
So we should see some continuity there, and he has very solid experience in managing. He's coming from pretty much managing the subsidiaries in Barbados.
Okay.
So I'm not worried there, right?
It's not such a huge change.
Correct. Secondly, as it relates to the finance costs, yes, finance costs have gone up significantly over the previous year. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll see where the company had approximately $300 or so million in terms of foreign exchange loss related to their debt that would have been translated, right? That is because the Jamaican dollars depreciated during that quarter, the June quarter, which he speaks about, which has caused that loss.
Okay.
However, how those things usually work, because it's unrealized, it's not yet realized, right? So they'll carry it on the books. However, if it is that the direction of the currency movement changes, we could see where that number could possibly be erased, reversed totally, right? And why I feel comfortably is that the trend I've seen over the last 3 years or so, especially since the BOJ implemented its inflation targeting framework, towards the end of the calendar year, you generally see where the Jamaican dollar appreciates against the US dollar. So with that, I'm expecting a reversal in those finance loss. Maybe it doesn't reverse completely, but I'm not expecting it to be as significant as it is currently towards the end of the year.
Okay, interesting.
So the demand factors are good. I've addressed those concerns as it relates to finance costs and management. I'm still bullish on Caribbean Cement.
Company. All right, good. Interesting, good stuff. We'll be back with more with Timar Jackson and Richard Longmore after this break.
Have you ever been interested in an IPO but didn't have the time to go in branch and submit all the documents? We've got a solution for that. With NCB Capital Markets Go IPO portal, you can submit and track your IPO application from any of your favorite devices. No need to go in branch. No need to contact a wealth advisor. No extra fees. And it's accessible to both NCB and non-NCB clients for all our offers. So no excuses. Investing is easier with Go IPO. Visit www.goipo.jncb.com or text GoIPO to 876-383-1729 and start investing today.
The Money Masters Funds. It's all about real growth, safety and security of your assets. The Growth Fund gives higher returns for the investor more focused on growth. Money Masters Funds, providing growth and security, performance and financial peace of mind.
We are CUFMC, Credit Union Fund Management Company. Trust matters, and you can believe in our reliability.
Service.
We give impeccable attention to your needs.
Experience.
Careful and prudent are part of our DNA.
Know-how.
After 70 years working exclusively for credit unions, now we're open to all investors. CUFMC, Credit Union Fund Management Company.
How we choose to invest our time today often has a propelling effect for what we gain tomorrow. It's like investing in shares.
Mommy, is this a share?
Yes. You know, she's right. It's similar to how shares work. Companies are publicly listed on the Jamaica stock market. These companies are divided into pieces, and these pieces are what are called shares. The owners of these shares are called shareholders.
We're talking with Timar Jackson from NCB Capital Markets Limited and Richard Longmore, our novice from the Jamaica Racing Commission. So, Richard, do you see Timar investing 21% in JMMB as a losing strategy?
As a losing strategy. Nice terminology. No, right now within the Jamaican economy, the financial sector in our mind is one of the key areas or key sectors where everything is pointed in a positive direction. So in my mind, once you invest in a NCB, BNS, JMMB, Surgical, whatever the financial company, I think that not only have we seen where all these companies have been making profits, but the whole economy in terms of low interest rate, I think that's very, very favorable for all the banks.
Okay.
And JMMB, just today, I was looking at what's going on in the papers, and just today we're seeing where the JMMB has gone out full aggressive in terms of giving out loans, where their loan portfolio has grown by 26%. And this is, in terms of the general financial sector, this is above industrial average in terms of growth. So I think this is a reasonable stock in terms of growth potential. And as you know, they have diversified their brand, where they're operating outside of Trinidad and Dominican Republic.
Okay,
so
they've extended into the Caribbean.
Into the Caribbean, and we see where the income streams are coming in, because right now, based on the regional markets, they're the regional markets accounted for 1.96 billion in profits to their bottom line. So I think it's a good move, and I don't have it in my portfolio now, but it's something that I look at further down. It's early days yet. He preempted me on this one.
Okay, all right. I think that's probably why we phrased it that way. Timar, why is JMMB your second largest holding?
As I said at the outset, JP, one of my core strategy in this competition is to look for growth stocks, right? See JMMB as a major growth opportunity because it recently started up its banking operations, which Richard spoke to the significant growth in loans, though it's coming from a small base. That's a growth area for JMMB. We're seeing where the economic conditions are also favorable for JMMB as well. So going forward, that 17% we've seen in terms of increase in its bottom line as at the first quarter this year, I'm expecting to see that grow even more going forward, right? An important thing to note about JMMB is that earlier this year, it announced that it will be taking a major stake in Sagicor's, the parent company of Sagicor Jamaica's parent company, which is Ally Invest.
The grandparent of...
if you want to call it that.
All
So
right.
basically, this vehicle out of Canada had actually bought, it intends to buy Sagicor Financial Corporation, which is the regional entity that owns Sagicor that we know locally, right? JMMB intends to take, I think, a $200 million US stake in Ally Invest, thereby becoming a significant shareholder. When this transaction, if it is successful, JMMB will become a significant shareholder in Sagicor Financial Corporation. I mean, I'm sure all of us on this competition have pretty much sang praises to Sagicor so far. So imagine JMMB, a small company here in Jamaica, owning a major stake in the bigger parent company of Sagicor Financial Corporation. So that is something to watch out for, right? Currently, I'm taking some losses on JMMB, and that is because we've seen where the prices have come down recently because of an announcement the company made. Now, I can't confirm, but I'm thinking that based on this announcement that they've made, that they're going to pretty much offer additional shares to the market. I'm estimating that this is going to come out to about somewhere between 10 to about 20 billion Jamaican dollars.
Billion, would that be?
Yes, in additional shares. So that has basically pushed down the price a bit because generally what companies do when they're doing these type of offers is to offer the shares at a lower price than where they're trading at in the market, right? So whilst I'm expecting to see some losses on JMMB in the short term, I'm expecting that once things settle and JMMB becomes a major shareholder in Sagicor's parent company, it's going to benefit significantly from that addition of profit or share of profit from that group. So it is really a stock to watch, and I'm bullish on it.
Good. Okay, nice. Interesting. Very interesting stuff this week, you guys. Thank you. Those were Timar Jackson and Richard Longmore giving us their financial thoughts on this week's episode. Join us next week, same time, for another exciting episode of the Masters Competition as we meet with the other participants. Follow the pros and the one novice each week on the Masters Competition. Listen and analyze the strategies with the Masters on RJR 94 FM, Thursdays at 8:45 a.m. as they challenge each other to stay ahead. And also look out for their portfolios in the Sunday Gleaner. The Masters Competition is a product of Today's Money Limited, brought to you in partnership with NCB Capital Markets Limited, Money Masters Limited, Credit Union Fund Management Company Limited, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Jean-Paul Manu. The Masters is another fine product from Today's Money Limited.